Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and the Warcraft's 20th anniversary, otherwise known as the patch 11.05, is finally made available over on the PTR. Now, we knew that a bunch of different rewards and activities and festivities are going to be available during the 20th anniversary, which we talked about the other day. But this build contains so much more in it, from the class of the Dracthyr, or rather the race of the Dracthyr, now getting a far more class options with massive implications and actually what seems like overpowered ratios, to a massive amounts of class changes as they're revamping some of the hero specs that didn't quite pan out during the development of War Within, but again, some quality treatment. Specifically, take a look at the Dark Ranger if you get the chance to hop on them over on the PTR, but you also get the preview for some of the time walking dungeons, time walking raids, as well as so much more to expect over the next few weeks over in the PTR realms. It's going to take me some considerable time to sink my teeth into everything to get more greater detailed info, but for now I would just want to do a bit of an overview of everything that is available for testing right now over in the current 11.05 PTR realm. As always, if you guys want to see more regular War Within updates like these, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. Otherwise, let's dive right into this newest PTR build. So what's all in all that's available for testing over in 11.05? Well, the first thing you will see, the obvious one, the Dracthyr Evoker, or rather the Dracthyr, anything you want it to be, or almost anything. Dracthyr are going to get access to a handful of new classes, from warriors, rogues, hunters, mages, priests, and even warlocks, which I'm kind of surprised by. I'm also surprised we didn't see something like a shaman, since, you know, there's a whole evokers are fighting the primalists, and, you know, elemental shamans have this volcanic elements about them, so I thought like that's very themed to the Black Dragonflight. But for now, they are going to expand their class list. You're not going to get paladins or druids or anything out of the ordinary, but those classes are now going to open up a lot of opportunity for the Dracthyr Evokers, but it also means that they had to rework some of the racials. Now, you still have access to your dragon form, but you also get access to a visage form, which you can customize and switch into on non-evoker classes a little bit more freely. But you still, even in visage, have access to things such as tail swipe, which gives you kind of like this, almost like a I guess an invisible tail that swipes out, and the animation for the wing buffet ability has a chromatic set of wings, which I guess I didn't really get to show off in the right angle, but they are chromatic wings to show up for just a handful of seconds, almost like a mirage, so they look awesome. So you get to maintain all of your dragon-based abilities, and you can also glide, and the exploration opportunities for a ton of classes that this opens up is incredible. But also it allows you to get to certain areas where you normally wouldn't be able to, like trying to jump on this lamppost with normal jumps, can't do it. But if we were to do this double jump glide thing, you can get around to places that you normally wouldn't be able to. So the amount of mobility this opens up, and I really don't like to throw this word around for no reason, but I think this kind of mobility is legit overpowered. Like, the amount of movement this provides you is quite nice, and I'm still exploring all the different elements and how the evoker or the Dracthyr race is going to affect all the different classes. Probably will have a separate video in the future, but right now they are testable, playable, and even soarable if you want to fly around with a group of friends or party. Besides this patch also contains a ton of class changes, which I started to take a look at a little bit, but I really need some time to dig into because these are extensive. The amount of changes coming out in this update so far, just in the first PTR build, and there's going to be future builds also, is a lot. They're going through a ton of changes, from shaman updates, paladin updates, hunter updates, but also changing up some of the hero towns that didn't quite make it and didn't quite feel as realized as they could be. So things such as the Dark Ranger Hunter, for example, that playstyle is receiving a whole slew of reworks and is finally being realized as a viable, proper playstyle with its own unique identity that really dives into the Banshee Queen herself to create the proper Dark Ranger that we should have gotten from the get-go. The 20th anniversary stuff is almost here, but not quite. The actual zone in the outside of the caverns is not quite set up yet. I guess that's going to be available for when the event actually launches. I don't even know if we'll be able to test it, but you can see some of the remnants of parts of the 20th anniversary announcement stuff that are going to be available, like time walking dungeons. They have the time walking dungeons for the classics, such as Dead Mines, as well as Stratholme, as well as Diremol, which is the capital Gorons, as well as the commons, and even the Warpwood Quarter. So all of those different parts of Diremol are still split up, although I don't know if we'll be able to I don't know if they'll be split up once the time walking version becomes available, but it seems that also not only did they bring back the original versions of these dungeons, but they also brought back the original encounters of those dungeons as well. Like Deadmines has things such as Rozok, Sneed, Gilnid, we got Mr. Smite coming back in, Mr. Smite on deck, Greenskin for a quick fight, Van Cleave, and the original version of Cookie, not the Cataclysm revamp versions, and this applies for all the other dungeons like Stratholme, for example, with Lord Ari Rivendare, which does have the Death Charger Reigns mount in the time walking version, so that should be very exciting for most players to obtain. Besides this, also they added a brand new raid for classic content, which is the Blackrock Depths, a modified version, a modified take of Blackrock Depths, but it still does play out into the original Blackrock Depths dungeon, just modified into a raiding tier. All the way from fights like Rakor, Baelgar, Lord Incendius, but a lot of these other fights and encounters have actually saw significant bits of changes, both to some of the models and the enemy types, but also the actual encounters themselves, like given the ability for Emperor Dargon to summon up the avatar of Ragnaros throughout that encounter. So I'm excited to see what's all going to look like. Those right now are not available for testing as of this moment, but you can see some of the different rewards and items that are available in Blackrock Depths, and a lot of these items are actually looking quite strong, even on heroic difficulty. So it seems to be kind of like a catch-up raid that is going to be available after we've had some time to raid through and run through all of the loot and all of the gear in the Nurubar Palace. So I'm very excited to see what all these items are going to end up being in terms of some of the best in slot tier lists for some of our classes. Speaking about items, in particular Transmog, a lot of the tier 2 items are not quite available for previews, or rather they're not available for Transmog, but are available for previews. Everything but the Rogue. The Rogue right now apparently is a work in progress, so that wasn't finalized, but Warlocks, Mages, Warriors, Paladins, Demon Hunters, Evokers, Shamans, all of those classes have their sets at least ready for preview, so it looks like a lot of them are finalized and mostly done, but a lot of those will be able to earn during the 20th anniversary. So right now, at the very least, you can preview what they look like on different classes in case you want to go for some kind of a specific race class combination for the patch 11.05. And I really do want to emphasize this, the screenshots for these sets were one thing, but being able to actually preview them in game feels a little different. You really get to see the depth and the details of all these different items, and they're really done a really good job. If you are going to be checking these out in PTR, I feel like some of the biggest glow ups are going to be in the Mage set, the Death Knight set, which looks really iconic for the original Lich King kind of look-alike, but even some of the other smaller sets or not as emphasized sets like the Shaman with the glowing eyes, the shoulders, the belt, the helm, and the detail regarding that set all in all. Besides this, a variety of other rewards such as mounts have been added into the game as well on the PTR. Again, not something you can ride around right now, but something you can preview as of this moment. Things such as the Cold Flame Tempest, which is the new Phoenix mount that is available for 20th anniversary, but also things such as the Amani Bear, or at least the original Amani Hunting Bear, that's going to be available to buy from Shattered City for 5,000 type war badges. And there's a couple of different mounts that were added with this as well. On top of it, these things are not completely added into the game just yet, but we can preview them, and those are going to be the Cold Flame Edge as well as the Cold Flame Bulwark, the shield, and the sword that matches the mount, and they look real good. I mean, the texture work, the models, the detail, and even some of the different crests with the Warcraft 3 theme that they have, those are also previewable, but not quite variable just yet. I wish there was some kind of like a vendor where you could interact with all these items just so you could see a better detail of what they look like on your character in game, but this is as close as you could really get to it. But these items, as well as some of the other rewards, are also kind of sort of at least available for preview over on the PTR. This also includes a variety of different UI improvements. Not all of them are in just yet, and some are a bit overblown, but there's been also other UI improvements as well, like when it comes to map, when it comes to the questing, when it comes to the actual legends. They've apparently updated them a little bit just so there's a better signifier between different quests, between different type of repeatable quests, legend requests, meta quests, important quests. They wanted to make sure that the UI elements are as clear as they can be, which is always good to see. And then there's also also been some of the other UI elements, like when you log into the actual screen for all of your characters, you can now disable the UI so you can see all your characters a little bit better, and there's a bit more modularity with it. So that's always good to see. And there will likely be continuously more updates over on the PTR. I'm sure at some point they will do like a moment where players will be able to queue for some of these time walking dungeons and queue for some of these time walking raids from way back in the day. But they will likely continue doing additional PTR updates over the next few weeks, especially as they do some of these class changes, because it seems like they're trying to get really ambitious with some of those adjustments, particularly when it comes to some of the hero specs. And the fact that they are adjusting hero specs that haven't quite worked out in terms of that class fantasy, I think is very, very exciting. And I wonder what they're going to be able to do over the next few weeks with these regular updates. But with that being said, that is going to be everything you can do right now over in the patch 11.05 PTR, which is currently available, and it's a public realm, so literally anybody and everybody can hop on and try all these things out, especially if you want to try out the class of the Evoker, see how it fits your class, because I am seriously, after playing a little bit of Rogue as an Evoker, at least early impressions, I'm considering going full Dracthyr on my Rogue in the future. The knock up, the glide, and the knockback abilities all seem really solid, especially if you're prepping to play mostly within Mythic Plus or PvP content. That being said, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope all of you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this update or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very, very much appreciate it. Join our community if you want to just hop in, discuss all of these upcoming PTR changes as part of the build 10 or 11.05. So join our community, and also let me know all your thoughts about everything we've seen so far in the comments down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.